when I see people coming to the events like this, it means that we're on the right track, and what we're doing is important in our fields, and we have like-minded people with us, and the change happens. I'm very grateful. My name is Alina Kuderska. I'm the founder of Sparky's Adaptive Clothing. Together with me is wonderful, amazing, fascinating Zazel, and I will give Zazel. You can also take the mic and introduce yourself as well. Zazel is a very famous dancer, and she because you are, because you are, and she's doing a big work. And I will give Zazel the opportunity to speak about herself.
Okay.
I think it works.
Hello, hello. Oh, yes, hello. Hello, everyone. Okay, so let me introduce myself once again. My name is Zazel Shava O'Gara. I have a very unusual name. I'm originally from, Montserrat, West Indies. Does anyone know that? Yes, Montserrat. We love Montserrat, you know. So I'm originally from the Caribbean. I am the founder and artistic director of ZCO Dance Project. It's a physically integrated dance company with comprised with dancers of with disabilities, mixed abilities. And I started the company about 13 years ago, and I really started it because I am a brain tumor survivor. Round of applause, please. So after my rehab and what have you, I started the company, and it's been my life, and I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you so much. And also we have one more panelist that was supposed to be with us, but she was yesterday diagnosed with COVID, so she had to cancel her flight, but still she is with us online, and I will give Eden the opportunity to introduce herself. 1 second.
Keeping my triggers to myself down here in Raleigh. I'm originally from Kansas City. I've got 4 kiddos, one of whom lives with a multitude of rare diseases, and sometimes struggling with clothing as a result of that. Have been working in the rare disease space since shortly after her diagnosis, so also 13 years that we have been running the Dash Alliance and really trying to find people like Alina who are forward thinking and really looking towards how we can make things more inclusive and do so in a really beautiful way. She is so talented at that, there's nobody better. So very excited to be here.
Thank you so much. And we were supposed to have one more panelist. Her mother is in the very challenging condition right now, and that was also the last moment thing. She had to cancel it. However, it was important to us to make sure that she's going to be included, and she recorded the video for us to watch. Our panel is truly inclusive. Okay, this is
Hi, my name is Delphine Venitucci, and I am the founder of iWheel, the first American brand of fashion accessories for wheelchairs and wheelchair life. I would like to extend a big and warm thank you to Alina and her brand Sparky's for organizing this awesome event and having us here. Unfortunately, I cannot attend in person, but I am very excited to share iWheel's vision through this video. When we talk about disabilities in general and wheelchairs in particular, the discussion is generally focused on medical health topics, rarely about fashion, style, and personalization. iWheel wants to change that and to create a more natural association between fashion and wheelchairs. Because the wheelchair doesn't define who you are, but it is an extension of your beautiful self, an extension of your personality and style. iWheel is on a mission to change perceptions on disabilities and wheelchairs by addressing the topic through a more creative, fun, and self-expression perspective. How are we doing this? Well, by making wheelchairs more visible and more personal, and by creating a wow effect thanks to collections of products and accessories which blend function with aesthetics. And they also put a strong emphasis on the autonomy of the user. Our pushroom covers are a very good example of this. They look very simple, they look like a very basic product, but they actually offer a concentrate of smart features for the wheelchair user. They provide additional grip, they help with
I truly appreciate guys you being here, and in that sense I believe we can start our panel. And before we start with our questions, myself, I also wanted to share big gratitude to all people and companies that helped us to make this event tonight happen, including, and I apologize if I'm not going to pronounce it correctly, Olga Jurit, the PR agency that I recently started working with, SoHo House, SoHo Works, of course, for giving us the space, Parlor Social Club for also spreading awareness about the event inclusivity, and we had the interesting conversation about how members with special needs, immobilities and disabilities can speak up about what is happening. And besides that, I also in the audience have some of my models that recently participated in the photo shoot, video shoot. The second model is on the way, he's late, and one of them were covered by. She is amazing and wonderful, and thank you so much for coming. And with that, I guess we can start with our first questions. I'm sorry, I have my little cheat sheet. I guess I would like to ask Giselle, what does inclusivity mean for you specifically, right now at this moment in life? And if you could share to us how that understanding transformed throughout different experiences that you went through. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to tell you a short story. After my surgery, which was 20 years ago, as I mentioned, I had a brain tumor and I was partially paralyzed on my right side, not able to use my arm or my leg, and I had to have assistance in getting dressed, from the nurses and the staff and what have you. And immediately I thought to myself, even though my brain was a little slow, this is kind of bleep bleep up. I was like not having it. And I knew that once I got out of rehab that I wanted to do something about that. I wanted to, dress for myself. I wanted to make things easier so I wouldn't put the burden on my family to have to get dressed and to help me. And because my mother at the time was elderly and I only had one sister and I was, living with them and they had lives. I didn't want to, as I said before, I didn't want to put the burden on them. So I kept thinking over and over again, I wanted to have something easier for myself, clothing that was easier to get on so I could dress myself so it could be not a lot of pressure, because when I was trying to put on my old clothes, I would fall down, lose my balance. So that's why, fast forward, being involved in meeting you and being involved in adaptive clothing means so much to me, because it's easier, it's more convenient, it doesn't give me a hassle. And for persons in the disability community, we want to look good. We want to look good, we want to look sharp, we want to look stylish, just like everyone else. So this means a lot to me.
Thank you so much. Eden, can I please ask you the same question? And also, before Eden answers, can I please get my phone back so I can watch the time? Somebody has my phone. I don't know where she is. Okay, it's fine. I'm so sorry. And can you please answer us the same question? What does inclusivity mean to you personally and throughout your work, your organization, your partnership with the Rare Disease Panel? That was the place where I met you. Can you please share a little bit more about that? Thank you.
Well, I think, to share a story of my own, and I'm so inspired by everything that you've overcome with having to deal with that tumor and everything else. That is so inspiring. My daughter is a teenager and has had to spend several months, actually almost 2 years, that she was in a back brace for 21 hours a day. So trying to find cute and adorable teenage appropriate clothes that will fit over and accommodate that kind of brace and maybe disguise it a little bit or mask it so she's not asked questions at school, but also help her to feel confident and feel cute throughout the course of her day and not draw attention to it, but let people see her for who she is. I think when we talk about inclusivity, we really just want people to feel comfortable and be seen for who they are, not necessarily for a brace or any kind of impediment that might challenge them when it comes to selecting fashion and getting dressed for the day, but really focusing on who they are as a person and letting that shine through. And for inclusive clothes like what you're working on and have been working on, to make things accessible, but to make it fashionable where it looks like something that my teenager wants to wear. I think we see that time and again in the rare disease community that people really want those options and they just want to be seen for who they are, not their diagnosis.
Thank you so much. And also, just besides speaking about clothing, because this is panel in general about inclusivity throughout what we're going through, I know that you did the amazing, fascinating work when you put together all of the people that we met during that rare disease panel, including artists. And if you could share a little bit about that, please.
When we're talking about the rare disease community, it's so far-flung. So the event that Alina keeps referring to is the Rare Fair, which we launched back in 2018. It was actually the first virtual event for rare disease patients pre-COVID. And we did that because we wanted it to be inclusive. We wanted to have all of these different people from different walks of life who might not have the accessibility to travel to an event, still be included, still feel like they had a place at the table, if you will. That was actually our first year's theme, was you have a place at the table. We want you here, you're welcome here. So I think for us, it's really highlighting, as you mentioned, the artists. There's some great work by an organization called Beyond the Diagnosis, and they bring in artists to kind of highlight these children and paint these beautiful portraits of them that have traveled across the United States to tell the story of the patient kind of behind the picture and raise awareness for these different diagnoses and disease groups. But I think overall, there's so many of us who are engaged in doing different things, whether that be media. Rare Revolution has a fantastic magazine that they put out. As I mentioned, Beyond the Diagnosis, there's great work being done with Nord and Global Genes. And really through our organization, we try to just connect people with resources and physicians, but also support groups, and make sure that they're seen and they're known, and that we're not just supporting them, but their families and their friends as well, because it is taxing on those who love a rare disease for a chronically ill patient. We want to make sure we're supporting them too.
Thank you so much. And I just want to add that after that event, because I'm involved in clothing, I get interested to learn more about these actual rare diseases, because some of them, I, for example, never heard about them, and this is something that actually exists. And there is stigma, unfortunately, in our society on women. And we had the interviews with some of them, and when they were saying that they have been having something for 15 or 20 years, they were born with something, they were afraid to speak about it because they didn't want to experience, the shame. They were ashamed by their parents, by their husbands, and this is something that, we still have when we live in America, the country that is so, forward thinking. So you can imagine what can happen in other countries. That was another reason why I wanted to emphasize specifically on what Eden does and what kind of people she puts together and how much it actually means for empowerment, self-belief, self-love, self-acceptance, and stuff like that. And the same what you're doing, Giselle, it's so much about also self-acceptance and self-love, and that's what we spoke about with our models. I can do it amazing, I can feel myself amazing. And that is why, and sometimes when we have those video shoots, and I would think that, I'm doing something for the clothing, but then we understand it's not only about clothing, it's about everybody, it's about community. And on that note, since we have some additional guests in the audience from the marketplace that I recently launched with, called Macy's, and when we had, thank you so much for coming, and when we had our presentation back then, and Macy's is one of them, and I spoke with other ones, and we made this speech with my team that to have us on the floor is not only to put the fashion brand on the floor, it's to help people who are unfortunately, first, the reason our society is built up right now, are not seen as much as they have to be seen, and are not heard as much as they have to be heard and they deserve to be heard. It's just to give them to have that opportunity, is to start making the cause for other companies that eventually build out more workstations for people with special needs, to increase the salaries and wages. So it's a movement, it's a big movement, and I'm so proud and happy to be part of it. I even have chills right now, so thank you so much. So, and on that note, let's go to my cheat sheet and the next question. Zaza, in your opinion, and we kind of already speak about this, what, through your work and personal experience, you think in the field that you work in right now, this society lacks, and what would you think would be the good solutions of improvement? When I'm asking this, I think I speak more about the mindset in terms of how things are right now and what could be the obstacles, and how do you see them to be overcome? Thank you.
Well, from my experience, they have been very narrow. They think very narrowly. And, it's not happening quick enough, but it is happening. For instance, last night I modeled in a show for Runway of Dreams, and it was just an incredible event, one of which I modeled for Victoria's Secrets. And as you know, Victoria's Secrets always had these models that were, 5'11", 6 feet, tall and thin, and, typical supermodel looks. And it took them a while to realize that there are other women out there. There are women who really want to look sexy, but you're not making the clothes for us. So it took them time, and I think they got rid of the CEO of that company, and they're now including persons with disabilities. So I wore a bra that had Velcro in the front and was easily, you could put it on, and a underwear that was easy to access, and it looked sexy, it looked beautiful. And all of us were so happy to finally wear something that was comfortable and something that, we look sexy in. Yeah. So it took some time. It's taking time. It's a gradual thing, but it is happening.
Amazing. And on that note, I'm also happy to share about us, Sparky's little promo campaign of my brand. We're in the process of launching the additional line that is going to have the strong focus on the lingerie, and to the point that you are making, sexy, feminine lingerie, yes, of the woman that celebrates her. And actually I remember that back then, I think it was half a year ago or something, we had a phone call. Yeah. When I put things together, I wanted to get Giselle's feedback, what she likes and what she doesn't like, and a few other models. And I have a quick snapshot and I can show you. So this is how it's going to look like. And when I was doing the presentation to Macy's, I also shared that with the team. Macy's also themselves, they done the wonderful job by hosting the workshop with Macy's that gives the opportunity to young brands that are just launching, that have the potential to participate in the cohort, to have the access to the information, resources, tools, and it's so important. So I'm very grateful, and I just wanted to include that as well. So this is one thing. Take a picture of us, please. Thank you so much. And from here, Ms. Can I also ask you to take a picture? Thank you so much. And besides that, there is one more thing that I want to share with you. Our video that we just made, and you can recognize one of our beautiful models. This is right here. And this video, I had the problem, honestly, of the public speaking. I was afraid. Last week I had to go to the Venice Film Festival and present this video, to the international society. I think that was the moment when I solved the problem of public speaking, and I just wanted to share what they saw with you.
Welcome to the world of Sparkies. We are an adaptive fashion company that designs comfortable, accessible, and stylish clothing to support your daily needs and help you to focus on your true best self. My name is Alina Kudierska, and I'm the adaptive fashion designer and owner of Sparkies. Sparkies was launched in 2021. At Sparkies, we are redefining the fashion industry and making it more inclusive on a deeper level. Our mission is to design, produce, and deliver solution-oriented and fashionable garments that meet the needs of various body types, including disability and immobility, and various life circumstances, and allow better mobility and independence. By wearing our clothing, Sparkies customers get back feeling of dignity, support, and care in moments that matter. And our team understand that as much as inclusivity is important in clothing, it is most important in the mindset and heart. By showing that adaptive designs can be and should be stylish, nice, and happy, we reduce the unnecessary separation in the vision of our society. As much as our abilities may be different from one another, our perspectives on that shall and can change. They should be recognized, appreciated, and celebrated with pride. And the more companies and businesses are going to support our movement and unite towards the goal of connection and inclusivity, the better world we will have for us and our children to live in.
Promo campaign, but let's bring back Adam. And Adam, can I please ask you the same question? Can you please tell us, within your field, in your activities, what do you think are the biggest obstacles that you face right now, and what do you think are the solutions to overcome them?
Number one is awareness, first and foremost, and we see it time and again, regardless of like what you mentioned, whether it's here in the United States or it's overseas, just the total lack of awareness that people are dealing with and struggling with these multiple rare diseases. Every 1 in 10 people is impacted by a rare disease diagnosis, and they're hard to diagnose. It takes on average 7 years to get to a diagnosis, and that's a lot of medical trips, it's a lot of doctor visits, a lot of medical appointments for blood work and different things. It's very expensive, it's very costly. So we're not just looking at the financial cost of going through all of those tests, but also the financial cost of time off work, caregivers stepping up and helping out. It's just really a big snowball. And I think when we finally get to the point where people see it more mainstream, we have these Rare Disease Awareness events. We have Rare Disease Day, which is always on the last day of February. So when it's a leap year, it is the most rare day of the year that we could possibly have it. But I think speaking about it, getting it out into the mainstream, bringing it out into the discussion like you're doing tonight into a larger audience, we kind of plant the seed and we let people know, hey, this is out there. There are research opportunities for patients. There are different avenues to pursue treatments, and some of them are funded, some of them are not. But how do we really raise this kind of in the zeitgeist? How do we make this the thing and really push it out there and make sure that people are aware that this is going on and it could be happening to someone in their lives? 1 out of every 10 you know somebody with a rare disease, you might just not know who it is.
Yeah, exactly, because there are so many of them that are not visible publicly. Thank you so much. One of the things that I also wanted to share that personally speaks to me, because I don't have disability myself. And everything what I'm doing in this business, I speak with others. I speak with models, with the community. And I remember back then when I only started, my first model, she was in the wheelchair, and she's an amazing girl. And when we had the personal conversation, because when you start working and then we become friends in a way, and one of the first topics that we touched upon was the level of suicide and how much it is higher within community of people with special needs, disabilities, rather than just, and it is still so high just. And I remember when she was sharing her personal story about her friend, and I'm a little bit yoga instructor, and I like psychology, philosophy, etc., speaking with people, trying to align myself, and she was asking me for maybe some advice, but that was shock to me, what we're actually dealing with. And so with this message, what I'm trying to say is, it doesn't have to be clothing, it doesn't have to be necessarily dance, it can be anything. And we sometimes might underestimate the impact what our action can actually have on somebody. And I mean, personally, I truly encourage everybody, you don't have to turn everything in your actual business, but explore opportunities how we can be impactful for one another, because something that we were born with, I personally think that it's just that our society is upside down when some people, they have certain access to some things and some people don't have access to certain things. It doesn't have to be that, and it's in our power to change it by our mindset, by asking questions. If we don't know, just ask the question and be open-minded, and just go forward. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, I since becoming disabled, I've just become a disability advocate. I work with the Performers with Disabilities Union within the Screen Actors Guild. I became a social worker. I belong with an organization called Divas with Disabilities, and I always see in every single organization that I belong to, particularly with the Performers with Disabilities Union, with the Screen Actors Guild, that there is discrimination amongst persons with disabilities. They rather hire a person who doesn't have a disability to put them in a wheelchair, rather than seeing a talented actor who is disabled and giving them that part. So we are fighting so we can be included on stage, in theater, in commercials. We want to be seen. We want our talent to be recognized, and that's what I continue to fight for.
Thank you so much. It actually reminds me, there is a beautiful, amazing organization called Real Abilities. If you know.
Yeah, I work with Real Abilities.
And I was on the panel of the film advisors with them. And I remember there was one of the events, they're doing a huge job in movies, cinema, and they help to put together not only movies that have actors with disabilities and special needs, but also made by those people, which is beyond fascinating, and movies are amazing. And I remember there was one of the panels, I think it was 2 years ago, when specifically to what you're saying, there were folks with disabilities when they were saying, when they watched the commercials of big companies, and when they saw that people that were put in the wheelchair, they were not disabled, they were just models that were able to walk, and they were put in the wheelchair, which is embarrassment, to what is happening in the industry. And so these things, I wish and hope they should change. Sorry for interviewing. Thank you so much, Giselle, and thank you so much, Eden. Eden, do you want to add something else to this, or shall?
Grateful for voices like the ones that are in that room and speaking. It's so sad that I've missed you guys. But kind of making that demand that yes, we need to be in this space too. We see it on the education front with, you know, the young kids who the school might go, oh, I'm not equipped to take that on, or we might not be equipped to take on those special needs. Seeing those faces and seeing those people in their communities thriving and being engaged is crucial. And the more that we can do that, the more that we have role models leading the way to make sure that people have access to those spaces and have the right to be there as much as anybody else does, is just really inspiring to hear about.
Question, please. And then, in your opinion, who is the role model? Can you please describe us in your, you know, from your experience, from work, from what you went through? What is that person, that the real role model that can make big change?
Really depends on where we're talking about geographically. We have a close personal friend in Africa, and he was born with an imperforate anus. He travels from village to village with a blackboard and teaches young girls math with an ostomy bag attached to him. Initially, when he was first diagnosed, people said that he had been practicing witchcraft, that he had been ostracized by his family, that he deserved what he was getting, that God had kind of foisted this upon him because he'd done something wrong in a previous life. And the man gets up every day and he takes care of himself and he goes and educates young women. To me, that is a massive role model right there. Somebody who is living in spite of his rare disease, fulfilling his dream, which is to educate. And that's somebody that I point to with my own daughter and say, look, there's somebody who's making it happen regardless of where he's living, what he's doing. This is what he wants to do. He makes it happen. He deals with all of the murmuring and gossip that goes about his own business. So when I can find, in particular for my daughter or other kids like her, people who are strong, they are well developed and established in their careers in spite of a diagnosis or living with some kind of a disability, that are out there rocking it, so to speak, and living their lives, that's who I want to point my kids to. Somebody who is happy, secure, knows kind of the system, how to play it, and make sure that their voices are amplified. And so when we can point people in that direction, we're going to do that every single time, because that gives our kids hope.
Thank you so much. Giselle and Adam, can you please tell us and everybody, what is your biggest driving force right now in life? Can you tell us about your plans for moving forward for your personally and for your community, your group, please?
Well, how long do you have? No, just teasing. Well, you know, I think big. You know, I don't know. I mean, every time I go to my neurologist, I tell him, oh, okay, I'm doing this X, Y, and Z. And he just looks at me like I'm nuts. Do you realize what's going on with your brain? And I just, you know, ignore him. But I plan on going to the top. I want to take my dance company, make it global. We've been invited to the International Disability Dance Festival in Greece. And it was in, our first invitation was during COVID, and of course it was canceled. So this year, hopefully, you know, everything goes together. We want to go there. We want to show them what we are doing, how we dance, how we move, and how we, you know, just share the joy of dance to others. You know, despite our disabilities, we are moving. We are, you know, really telling the audience this is what we do. So we're really looking forward to that. On a personal note, I just want to, you know, wake up every morning with a smile on my face and just be happy that I'm alive.
Thank you so much. Adam, can we ask you please the same question? Can you please share us about your driving force and your plans for the future, work-wise and personal-wise? Thank you.
Wish they included Greece. Right now, they do not. Although.
Thank you so much. I guess answering the same question from my side. I agree with all what you ladies said, since I operate specifically in the clothing department. So I see my job, our team's job, is to design and provide the different variety of apparel styles that are functional, that help folks to cope with their daily needs, daily activities in the more comfortable and accessible way. First. Second of all, feel themselves empowered, feminine if we are doing women's wear. We're going to launch men's wear as well, and I'm happy we have one of the models in the back, Antoine, and we recently also had a call, the feedbacks about the men's wear line and what needs to be included, and I'm grateful for that as well. In the different categories, and I'm hopeful for, and I'm actually grateful that it's happening right now, for launching as many partnerships with the retail space as possible, because we are all in this together, and it's all about partnership, and we need to support each other, and not necessarily speaking within America, as you said, globally, and we think big as well, and that was the reason why I went to that Venice Film Festival. Well, thank you so much. We have 7 o'clock right now, and I would love to ask you guys if you have any questions to us, Zazel, me, or Eden, please let us know. We are here for you. Please.
Thank you.
We will probably need to give you the microphone. We have only 2, so.
Should I use that?
Yes, please. Thank you so much for being sit
Yeah.
with us.
Thanks again. I'm just curious, what do you have a favorite or first memorable apparel that you designed? Or, like, you know, piece of clothing or something that, you know, that's dear to you? That...
Thank you so much. This is the fascinating question that actually brought me to the memories that I forgot to mention. I studied here at Parsons. My first degree is International Economic Relations. I was born in the famous country called Ukraine, right now very famous. When I came to States, I retrained myself as the fashion designer and went to Parsons. I met the most amazing, fascinating professor from my textile design department, and back then her mother, she was in the nursing home, Sparks Nursing Home in Kentucky, and she saw the spark in me. Her name is Cecilia Metheny. We're still good friends. And she told me, why don't you go with me to the nursing home to see her mother? And I said, of course. And so, because she knew back then that ladies in that nursing home, they have the need, they have the struggle. So she wanted to bring somebody who's inspired. So she brought me. We took pants from those ladies. They were in their 70s and 90s. Unfortunately, throughout COVID, many of them, they passed away because, as you guys know, it was one of the hardest who was actually affected by COVID were nursing homes. I brought those pants back with me to school, and I started putting, you know, teeny tiny elastics, some snaps, something that I even didn't know if it's going to be super functional, but I needed to make the try, then to bring it back to them to the nursing home. They modeled for me, they tried, gave me the comments. So that was amazing. So to answer your question, the first item was pants, actually, and I would say that was the experience that influenced me so much that I lived through. So right now, Sparks Nursing Home knows about Sparkies. They're proud, and yeah, so.
Hence the name, Sparkies?
Exactly. So that's why, you know, when somebody asked me about the personal story, personal connection, I would bring the nursing home, and that's why, you know, we decided to keep the name connected to the Sparks Nursing Home.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Alrighty, it's all right, you don't have to. And I would say from my side that the topic that we speak about can provoke controversial feelings sometimes, and it can also make some people uncomfortable. And I can say that myself, you know, throughout when we don't mean to in any possible way to make anybody uncomfortable. And up front, I apologize personally if that happened. But this is the conversation that is important to happen, and I'm very grateful for the space. I'm very grateful for Zazel, and I'm very grateful for Eden, and anybody who is going to be after us and support us on the journey. And of course for you, for coming. Thank you. Yeah, so thank you. We're going to have the additional about, I would say, 20 to 30 minutes. We have wine and champagne in the back, and you guys are welcome to chat. I also wanted to say the special thank you for guests from Webink. Women Business Owned certification. This is one of the largest certifications. If you can correct me, country-wise, right? Yes. And they support businesses that are owned by women. Macy's knows very well, we bank, and I remember when we were in the workshop, they were specifically recommending us to get certified because it helps the businesses, and I'm very happy that you guys support us as well. Thank you so much. And I also want to mention another organization that also does so much. Their name is Best Buddies, and they're huge actually. And we have our guests. And what Best Buddies do, they are the community that works mainly, I would say, you actually guys, you do both mental and physical conditions, right? Yeah.
Intellectual and developmental.
Yes. And I personally myself, I have some of my friends, their kids, they're part of your organization, and one of the amazing things what they do is they partner a person with special needs together with a volunteer who is a friend, best buddy to that person without special needs, and they help to connect them, on the level of their interests, hobbies, etc. So it's another example of the huge and amazing example of the inclusivity and what we can do, sometimes when we have this spare minute. So thank you so much for supporting and coming. Yeah, and I guess, please.
May I still ask a question?
Absolutely.
So your design is inherently collaborative,
Yes.
and that's not necessarily common for the entire process to be collaborative. And I'm wondering what you've learned as a designer from moving into a collaborative field, because it is always that way.
Well, thank you so much for question. I think that specifically, and I'm sure it's not only about Sparky's as adaptive brand, but all brands that are adaptive, that are working in this niche, you cannot do it on your own. You have to ask feedbacks. There is huge amount of different needs, different conditions, and we might think that we know something, and we might know something, but if we really want to be inclusive, we have to ask those questions, and we should be not ashamed to admit that we might not know something, that we might made a mistake in our assumption, and we need to make the design again and again and again. So I would say in adaptive design, to be inclusive is everything, and to be collaborative. When we speak something about, more niche, well, this is also niche, but what I mean is more, when the person is the artist, let's say they do textile design, right? And they just, when they're design, but on that note, and I apologize that I'm jumping with my thoughts, because I wanted to say that, in textile design, it's not so important. However, there are many folks that have sensitive vision. They have sensitivity to colors. So you can even go one step further. And even if you think about textile design, that is something on top, how you can make that even more inclusive. What size of the prints should be. Like even right now, all of these websites, including mine, we need to be accessible. The person, when they visit our websites, they have the option to select, what size they want, a font they want to have, how bright the screen's supposed to be, so things like that. So I think it has to be collaborative, 100%. Answering the question, what I learned, everything. Thank you. Please.
So how adaptive or modular are you clothing? Because except maybe like for wheelchair, but even there might be different aspects, different disabilities. Yeah, I think no disability is really exactly the same. Yeah. So how are you making the clothes in a way so that it's sort of like one size fits all, because you can adapt through zippers or Velcro or whatever to fit different needs to different people?
This is actually amazing and very important question. To your point, there is a huge number of different conditions and different disabilities. So there are a few things. So what we are actually doing, we work with disability, and we also work with the stages of recovery from surgery or pre-surgery conditions. Again, based on the collaborative experience. By collecting the information, then we assign, let's say, one garment can solve certain number of solutions. It's not going to solve all of the solutions, but certain number. Like for example, this pants with a full set seam opening. The person that has prosthetic leg can wear them. The person that is on the wheelchair, when we speak about lower body immobility, can
Or
wear
AFO brace. I wear AFO brace. And
Exactly.
It's very accessible for this. It's regular pants. I just can't wear.
Please, I apologize. I started speaking and didn't stop. Do you want to add something to that?
No, that's very important because with slim fitted pants, I cannot fit because it's so large at the top, I can't fit my AFO brace into the pant leg.
And actually, to this point, we also have Antoine that we had in our call last week, and we had exactly the same conversation. Antoine is behind, he's waving. If you want to add something to that, you are welcome to.
So, hi everyone, my name is Sept.
I guess
Or there's a mic.
come to us. It's short.
Hi everyone, my name is Antoine. I'm a disabled model. I've been modeling since I was 8 years old, and I lost my leg in 2015. And there's not a lot of companies that accommodate models that have disabilities as far as clothing, that make the clothing adaptive, that make the clothing comfortable, that make the clothing just really easy to put on. And she made a pair of pants for me that I modeled, and it went viral. And people were asking me questions. How do you put the pants on? How do you make the pants look so good? And my thing is, how you look is a reflection of how you feel. So if I look in the mirror and my reflection says I receive, or I'm perceptive in the mirror, and I'm looking at myself and I'm saying I can connect with these clothing, it makes the photo shoot or the runway experience a lot less hassle. Because I feel amazing on the inside, which projects that on the outside. And her clothes are a platform for me to be able to be happy while modeling, and also to feel like no matter what I'm doing, it's accessible.
Thank you so much. Jesus Christ, again, I didn't mean to turn it, into the... But thank you. And also, speaking about that, we recently got patent on our wrap top, bra top. And this is another example, all items. So basically, the short answer is that one item fits certain conditions, but it may not necessarily be limited to those conditions, because let's say somebody is going through treatment, like they have cancer, and they have to install the catheter in certain portions of the garment. So instead of just wearing the medical gown, they can wear the top, they can unsnap just slightly in certain area. And that way, woman, she feels more empowered, which is super important when they're going, through conditions like that. At the same time, there were a huge number of brands that they were doing similar designs, but they were doing that for design perspective. So that's another example. So with the bra top, initially it was created for mastectomy conditions, when again, women are going through certain treatments. It can be also worn for curvy ladies for larger sizes. So that is not disability at all, but this is something that, also can help with the solution. And for those pants that I was talking about, they can also help with the hip surgery or easy toileting. We have tops for assisted dressing, and if you ladies remember, famous design when you have the back wrap, when it's a little bit loose on the back. Simple solution: if you just add snaps on the shoulders, you can make it accessible for the person that cannot lift up the arms and they need the help of the caregiver, when they would just have their hands just down, and the caregiver would just pull the garment and just close it on shoulders. And in terms of production, it's actually the same. So when I say cost of production, I mean the yield, the amount of fabric that you need to use, which basically connects to the price that you would have for the garment. It's the same, but it's so easy. So, and that's again coming back to collaborative thinking, collaborative environment. Thank you so much. Is there anything else, please? Because I keep speaking non-stop.
Yes. It's been wonderful speaking with everyone and just telling my story, and I love sharing it with you every day.
Thank you so much. Adam, thank you so much as well. Do you want to say any final word to us?
No, just thank you so much for including me.
Okay. Thank you so much, everybody, our wonderful guests. Please enjoy some champagne and wine. You can welcome to speak to each other, and I very much hope to see you soon. And once again, huge thank you to SoHo House, Olga knows, and Parlor, and everybody who supports us. Thank you.